Good evening.
Hi, Anna. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you too.
So excited. We missed you at the swearing, but I know you were working, so
Yeah, sorry,
that's okay.
we crashed and burned.
It's been a busy time. I can't imagine. No worries.
Yeah, we had a building we had to fill by a certain date, and
Yeah.
I hope we never have that happen again.
Well, we're just very lucky that you were able to get in the commission and that you were interested and that you're here. So thank you for serving. It's so
Thank you for
exciting.
serving. I'm looking.
So good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first commission on the status of women for Norwalk, the city of Norwalk. I am so excited to start this new venture and to work with so many amazing women. We will start today's agenda with introductions of the commissioners. So I will turn it over and we can start with Anna Keegan.
Was not expecting to go first. Hi, I'm Anna Keegan. I am the Director of Housing Operations at the Norwalk Housing Authority and have a civil rights and housing and ADA background.
Ileana?
My name is Ileana Zuniga, and I am a resident of Norwalk since for the last 10 years, mom of two wonderful boys, involved parent and social activist for supporting our Latino community here in Norwalk.
Christina?
Currently. Hi, everyone. Christina Testabuzzi, and I am my official real important title is mom of two, 20 and 17-year-old boys, both boys. But then during the day, I tend to be busy with my day job as the Chief Regional Workforce Development Officer for the Connecticut Community Colleges, specifically Shoreline West. So I cover Norwalk, Housatonic, and Gateway and oversee their workforce development and continuing ed programs. But for a good portion, I just started that last year. For 10 years prior to that, I actually was a dean in workforce at Norwalk Community College, and I'm born and raised here. So I'm excited to be on this commission.
Thank you. Yvonne?
Hi, everyone. My name is Yvonne Suko. I am the HR and Operations Director at Building One Community. It's a center for immigrant integration in Stanford. I'm a Norwalk resident as well. I lived here for 6 years. And previously to working at Building One Community, I worked in very women-related issues, as I was the director of the Sexual Assault Crisis Center in Stanford. So I'm really excited to be part of this group.
Thank you, Yvonne. Claudia?
Hi, everyone. My name is Claudia Connor, and I currently work at Save the Children, which is based in Fairfield. I live in Norwalk and have for about 13 years. Before working at Save the Children, I actually returned. I used to work there as well. I'm a lawyer by training and practiced law for 10 years. Way back when. And then most recently I was the presidency of the Connecticut Institute for Refugees and Immigrants, and was part of the Norwalk Immigration Coalition and Yvonne from that work. So really just so thrilled to meet all of you and really looking forward to working together.
Claudia. Sarah?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. I am a Norwalk resident and most lifelong member of the community. My family immigrated here when I was 9, and I've been here since then. So I'm a product of the Norwalk Public Schools. I'm a mom of a almost 3-year-old girl. And during the day, I spend my time as a doctoral candidate at Harvard. And I'm finishing up my dissertation, but I'm a developmental psychologist who works with mixed status immigrant families from Latin America in the Fairfield County area, trying to understand how children, parents make sense of what it means to be undocumented, individually and together.
Sarah. Shannon?
Don't mind the 5-year-old screaming in the background. My name is Shannon O'Toole Jandurko. I am the mom of a 5-year-old little girl. I was on the Common Council for 4 years, and I was the chairman of the Ordinance Committee when I was there. So I'm very excited to be a part of this group of amazing women. I'm a little intimidated. You guys have quite the credentials, but I'm really excited to be part of it.
Well, you are another amazing woman adding to this team and to this commission. So thank you. Jasmine?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Jasmine Prezzi, and I am a resident of Norwalk and born and raised. I went through the Norwalk public school system, and now I'm actually working in Norwalk as the director of the Norwalk Mentor Program, a program that I was a part of as a student, and now directing it. So it's been very full circle, and just really happy to just be, active in the community of Norwalk. And I have a social work background, I have a master's in social work, and I am too excited to be here and learn from you all, and us just, work together for the greater good of women and families in Norwalk. Thank you.
Jasmine. Chantel?
Hello, everyone. My name is Chantal Coffey. I feel empowered. Let me start with that. Being part of such a big movement with amazing, empowering, and powerful women, it makes me feel the same way I felt the first time I went to a WBDC event, a room full of 800 women making changes for other women in the community. I am, my background is in medicine, nursing, psychology. So I have a little bit in common with a lot of you. And I taught at NCC in the CNA program, I think 4 or 5 years ago. My educational background, as I said, is in nursing. First, I studied nursing and psychology, bachelor in psychology, MD degree, USMLE, blah, 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 but opted to stay in business because after medical school, I had to open a nursing agency because I had a young child and I got divorced. I became a single parent. So that's what I've been doing. That's what I do during the day. And at night, I am in a master's program in business administration with a focus on leadership. It's almost over. I am glad to be here. I will be glad to participate to make other women's life easier, to empower. And I am very, very happy to be working with such an amazing group of people. Women, not people, specifically women.
Thank you, Chantel. And I am Maria Scalera. I've been appointed as the staff person to support this commission. And I am currently the Human Services Director for the City of Norwalk through the Community Services Department. I do need to share that this is my first and unfortunately my last meeting as I have accepted a position at a health center in Bridgeport. And so continuing to do the work of serving the community, our most vulnerable residents, but going back to my health center roots, I've been in the health center world for 15 years before joining the city of Norwalk, and have taken an opportunity to continue the work of bringing equity to our residents, to all residents, and making sure that access to healthcare is a right, and ensuring that, and we'll be working very closely with the pediatrics department, our women's health department, and school-based health centers. So continuing that community work that I am so extremely committed to and passionate about. So I am looking forward to following this commission and the work that you are all doing, and plan to stay in touch so that I can bring back what you're doing in Norwalk back to Bridgeport and what I do in the work that I'll be doing. So thank you, welcome. And I want to take a special note to Sharon, who worked so diligently and so hard to bring this commission forth. Thank Mayor Rilling for his commitment to the women of Norwalk and ensuring that Norwalk becomes a more equitable, inclusive city for all. And in this format, or in this regards, to the women of Norwalk. So I want to make sure we thank Mayor Rilling and all of you for your commitment to this. If we move along with the agenda and on to new business, we can address or begin the discussion of the officer structure and responsibilities. And then we'll put forth a nomination for two candidates. In our discussions or in previous discussions, we identified or would like to identify a way to create a structure, an officer structure for the commission, and have discussed a co-leadership or a co-chair. And so I want to open up the floor to discussion.
One of the things I said about the co-chair suggestion is that while I really like the cooperative idea of it, one of the main roles of chair is to lead the meeting. So with a co-chair, that gets slightly more confusing. So it might be better to have a chair and a vice chair who takes over and then have them consult as necessary, which would make it clearer who was leading the meeting and who should be called to make determinations about whether to cancel for lack of quorum and things like that.
Thank you, Anna, for that clarification.
Maria, what's the, I guess, the precedent with the other commissions? Is that something you would know, or?
Anna can answer that. She is our expert on commissions.
Can speak for the commissions I've worked with, which is 3, the ADA, the Fair Rent, and the Human Relations Commission with the City of Norwalk. And in general, it's chair and vice chair for precisely the reasons I outlined. Now, I can't speak for other commissions. Shannon might have some contributions since I know she was on the Ordinance Committee. So we're all creating this as we go.
Yeah, I think for clarity, chair and vice chair is typically the structure that I'm familiar with. Just like you said, if someone can step in, if the chair is unavailable, but the kind of the rank and file to know how we're running the meeting and how things are going, that would definitely, I think, benefit us the most.
And I would support that. I served for 1 year in the Historical Commission as well, and that worked really, really well, having that chair and that vice chair just supporting, as Shannon says, coming in when needed, but we do need to have one lead that helps guide us, and us supporting that lead to get to the points that we want to fight for and get to.
And having served as vice chair of the union, it doesn't mean that you don't do work or get support.
Right.
It means that you have a clear main voice.
Yes.
And is it expected that the chair will take on the responsibilities of communicating with the media if there is a question from reporters, or how does that, I know that was a question that was asked, and I don't know how it's worked on other commissions. Identify someone who would speak on behalf of the commission.
Yeah, exactly. You would have the chair be the point of contact. And then if there was something specific that another member was better versed in, you could refer the media to them, or you could work in conjunction. But you always want one central point to make sure that the messaging is appropriate, and then you kind of work within that. So yeah, that would be, and set the agenda too. The chair would usually set the agenda and work with staff, to make sure that the commission has everything that they need as far as like printouts and backup material, anything that needs to be supplied.
And a lot of times, at least the Human Relations Commission has managed things when they wanted to make a statement by drafting their statement and going over it in meetings first. So everyone has a chance to make a contribution when that's possible.
Are those responsibilities laid out in the bylaws, which I know we need to write, but or are they kind of committed in writing it's somewhere, or is it more, I mean, with the other commissions, is that how it's sort of laid out, kind of the division of labor and what the roles and responsibilities are of the chair and the vice chair?
This me again?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm talking a lot. With
You have
the
a lot of
commissions,
background. That's good.
with commissions I've served as staff for. Usually the bylaws are fairly simplistic with responsibilities laid out. Of course, those commissions have not had to worry as much about media as perhaps this commission might. With the Human Relations Commission, it was often staff who was making the public statements, which I'm not sure is the goal here. So I think that's something we definitely could lay out in the bylaws, since I think we'll probably need to form a committee or something to do the bylaws. We can make a list of the things we want laid out in them and then lay them out as we like.
We're fortunate to have a lawyer in the group.
Two.
Two. Oh, I heard one. I thought Claudia was. I
am,
was
but
carefully
was a
asked.
lawyer.
Anna's a lawyer as well, right?
Yes,
Yes.
Anna's a lawyer,
Is-
isn't, yes.
Who?
Anna Keegan is a lawyer as well.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and
Okay.
if I remember correctly, Maria, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we do have some sort of baseline of bylaws of the original commission that was formed back in the good old days and then never took up. So there's some sort of document that I remember seeing at some point that we could use as a baseline, so we don't start from scratch. Rather, we can modernize it to fit the needs of where we are in 2021.
So we have the ordinance, which I can pull up for everyone, and I think we
Yeah.
are going to review that during this meeting. So we do have the ordinance. I have not seen bylaws. I have looked at the bylaws for
Okay.
other commissions, but I don't believe the previous
Okay.
commission created bylaws for us to go by.
Oh, perfect, thank you.
Yes.
And I took a look at the fair rent ones that that were sent just as an example. And I mean, it does seem, I think it will be pretty straightforward. I mean, obviously the missions are different, but I think, there's boilerplate components to bylaws that'll be pretty straightforward, I think. So would the sort of the action of this group to vote on the structure, and I don't want to make things more complicated than we need to, but should we be formal about it, meaning make a vote or motion to vote on what the structure would be, and then the process for putting the folks in place for that structure?
I move that we have a structure with a chair and a vice chair, and then later have an ordinance committee not an ordinance, a bylaws committee to form bylaws to bring back to the whole commission to vote on.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Do you want a show of hands or a video show of hands?
Aye.
Any, I think everyone has voted. Okay. Great. Thank you, Anna and Shannon, for leading us through that conversation. So our next order of business is to present nominations for the officers. Several people were nominated, and through discussion, I'm moving forward Claudia Connor and Anna Keegan, who have been nominated, and can discuss who would like to take the chair and vice chair. And then we can place a vote. Anna?
I move Claudia as chair.
Oh, I have to say, so thank you. I'm not seconding your motion, but I do just want for so there was some back and forth via email before today, because Maria had, informed those of us who had been nominated. And I believe there were some other people who maybe just didn't want to take up the opportunity. So there was this incredibly diplomatic email exchange, I think, between Anna and me, and Sharon was on there as well. And so, I would just say that I am so honored to be on this commission. I am so honored to be nominated for any kind of office. I do not have, I mean, a huge gap in my experience is knowledge of city government, structures of, officers on commissions. So, I would be very honored to be the chair or co-chair. I mean, so I really look to you, Anna. You have tremendous city government experience and understanding of how things run and who does what and what the order of things is. And so, I think that's, I know, just to be really transparent, that is a gap in my skill set. I mean, I'm
equally honored and happy to serve wherever I can. I think you probably have significantly more experience than I do, and this is a wonderful group, so I'm happy to work with whoever, but if y'all are more comfortable with my current city government experience, I'm comfortable being chair as well, although I'm very happy, whatever, and just this is a great group.
It is. I'm not sure how we proceed, Maria. Yeah, I mean, that's why I actually was promoting the idea of co-chairs. So we could just, because it's very like equitable and not have to, but I think, everything that others said about structure does make sense to have the, as we already voted on that, so.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to have Anna Keegan as chair and Claudia Connor as vice chair.
I will second.
Oh, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Great. Well, congratulations, Anna and Claudia. And thank you, everyone. So I will now turn the meeting over to Anna, our new chair of the Commission on the Status of Women.
Hey,
Congratulations. Thank you.
I'm very honored. Thank you so much. I will do my best to work for you all well. And also it'll be wonderful working with you, Claudia. I think you have a lot to bring to the table, and I think this will be great.
Thanks.
And working with everyone else as well, hearing everyone's background and experience. I think this is just such a good group. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is to confirm meeting dates. So I think, Maria, we were talking about the third Mondays of the
Monday.
month?
Yes, so currently the third Monday of the month is on the calendar. I need to confirm that and just let the mayor's office know. And also to decide if we want to continue doing the meetings in a Zoom format or move to an in-person. And then secure a conference room for an in-person. I believe we currently have a room, and that is why the third Monday became available or was kind of identified, that we currently have a conference room available for this time. So we need to just confirm that the third Monday of every month works. And then do we want to continue to hold this meeting through Zoom or move to an in-person?
I would like to ask something here. I think that this was discussed at the early stages of planning for the commission. We as women are multitasking. We have children. We're dealing with school activities. I think that allowing the option to attend virtually would be a good step for women, just to allow us to serve properly without having to not be able to deal with everything that we deal with on a regular basis. Having the in-person is wonderful, although winter is coming, and boy, wouldn't it be nice just to be here warm and cozy instead of having to drive back home at 9 p.m. So just a personal preference, but I do think that if we're going to try to look out for the future of women, being flexible works for women. And I would just suggest that we continue to allow attendance via Zoom if possible.
I was going to ask the same thing, to have the option to be in person or Zoom.
Does the room at City Hall accommodate for if some of us can meet in person and then have the option of a screen with those that could attend virtually? Does the room, can that room be accommodated that way?
So we would have to seek, the room that is currently reserved does not have the capability.
Okay.
However,
231?
correct. So
So there could be 1 or 2 call-ins, but that's about it, and there wouldn't be any Zoom screening.
Okay, that's important then.
I mean, I would say, and it's something we've been talking about at work too, once we return to the office, do we want to continue having Zoom meetings? And I think my feeling is that there is, you know, an equity issue if some people are there and some people are not. And especially if you can't visually see others, or if you're remote, you can't necessarily hear everybody. And so you end up missing out on some of the meetings. So I mean, I agree very much that I would love to connect in person, and maybe we can find a way to do that either at a meeting or like over coffee or in the spring or something. But I do think that there's, you know, I feel like, you know, Ileana, what you said really makes so much sense to me. And unless the room is really set up so that we can guarantee we're all have the same amount, you know, access to the audio and video, then I think it should be, you know, either fully remote or, you know, yeah, I think fully remote makes sense for now. And we can change it later, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the beauty of all this is we're all in charge. You know, like I personally, for me to not have to deal with another night of like, who's watching my daughter? Did I get home in time to feed her dinner and the whole thing? But we can always, as things start morphing, there might be a meeting where we all say, all right, we really need to like put our heads together and be in person, but we have the right to do it month by month. It's our meeting.
Right.
So I think if we're all comfortable like staying on Zoom, I think it's a great start, because we're going to have some like housekeeping stuff to really get things together. And like the bylaws are not the exciting part to dig into, but once we have them, you know, we can then go forward. So I would say definitely Zoom for now. And like Claudia said, like, I would love to see everybody in person. That would be amazing, but maybe we do it as let's grab a cup of coffee instead of, you know, doing business.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And I imagine we will have committee meetings as well. So if that's happening, maybe smaller groups can get together in person and play it by ear, right?
Absolutely, Wanda. I was just going to suggest that. I mean, if we break it down by little groups, it's easier to plan and accommodate rather than trying to get this amazing group of women all together at once in the same place. So.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I did want to just mention, and I don't know if this makes a difference to the group, but the December Monday meeting would be the week of the holiday, the Christmas holiday.
It's going to bring that up next.
Okay. And then the following one is actually Martin Luther King Monday in January. So I don't know if that makes a difference. So.
All right. So I want to start off by I think we have a consensus on the Zoom thing. Let's decide that and then decide when our next meeting will be, having decided the third Monday. So that's 3 different things we need to vote on. First, do we want to vote that we're good with meeting on the 3rd Monday at 7?
I will second the motion to vote. Yeah, I will put the motion on the floor to vote to do it on Zoom.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? We kind of had discussion already. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, that motion passes unanimously. So we're going to be for now on the 3rd Monday by Zoom. Second, as Christina brought up, the next 2 3rd Mondays would be right near a lot of holidays and Martin Luther King weekend. So do we want to try and change the dates for those, or do we want to skip December and try and have a different date in January, or just reconvene in February and maybe in the meanwhile have a bylaws committee?
I think that's a good idea, because the bylaws are just the nitty gritty and like a lot of reading and researching. And like you said, we don't need to start from scratch. There's definitely templates available, but we also, I think one thing that we all really seem passionate about is making this our own. So there might be things that we want to address that aren't in any other bylaws, because it's issues that haven't been addressed before. So I think, yeah, if we took the next couple months to really like get going on those, because to try to move it, we all are going to have commitments for the holiday, or, you know, and City Hall is closed for Martin Luther King. So that's a whole nother issue with getting like the recording and stuff. So I think that's a great suggestion, Anna.
Okay, so motion to meet again next in February.
I will second that motion.
That was fast. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
Anna, can I just make a general comment? I'm just mindful of this, sitting in different environments, often with students and being in meetings with students, and students aren't always, not saying that this is happening on this call by any means, but sometimes we take for granted that everybody on a call is familiar with move emotion, second emotion, procedural stuff, which again, I mean, I prefaced earlier, I don't want to complicate things with too much of that, because then it's like, oh no, I've been in those meetings which become horrendous and you don't get anything done. So, but I just wonder if it might be, if not tonight, I think it might just maybe be helpful for kind of a quick 1, 2, 3 about motions and when they're important and the way that they should be stood up, and, just being mindful that we all don't assume everybody's in the same place, and just makes it easier.
Oh my God, Christina, I love you. Thank you
It's
for
a
saying
real
that.
good
I was a
suggestion.
commissioner last year and nobody explained a darn thing to me, and it was so confusing. I kept speaking out of turn. Yes, yes, let's do that.
That's a great
please.
idea.
I hope you still
actually-
got a turn.
One thing that will come out of the bylaws is we will establish, like, if we're going to use Robert's Rules of Order, and that we can do, like, include, like, we can give everybody like a cheat sheet of exactly what that means, and like the motions and the whole procedure, because it's good for the record to, have all of that. We can definitely, that's part of the bylaws. So that'll be very clear for everybody, because it is, some of us get, like you said, like used to it. We're like, oh, second this motion, approve, and people are like, wait, what did I just agree to?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to also make sure that folks know if things are moving too fast, how
They
to
have
start
a
the
chance to
conversation.
correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you. Absolutely.
And is there so I'm not a Robert's Rules expert either, but can you, like, in crafting the bylaws, can we have sort of a modified version? Like, there's some things we like, but we also want to be more consensus driven in other ways, or can you sort of, or is it like an all or nothing approach?
It's not all or nothing. You can do the bylaws so that the bylaws rule, and then you can say when the bylaws don't cover something, Robert's Rules does, for instance.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
And I might have oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, can we make a note for the bylaws to also think of what applies on Zoom and what doesn't?
I've actually been making notes for the bylaws all along, because I think you raised a good point earlier about presence on Zoom versus presence in meetings. So I think the bylaws should cover remote presence. Although that would be up to the bylaws committee, but I've been making notes about questions.
Mhm. One more thing important to add that is not always in bylaws is voting via email.
Yep.
I think that might be a FOIA issue. We'd have to figure out how to handle that.
That could get dicey because we don't all have City of Norwalk
Right.
emails. So if something was FOIA'd, which means like it's a Freedom of Information request, they would have the right to search your entire email, like everything.
Less that, although that's more of a concern when you're on the council, but also for FOIA, you have to establish a public record of voting.
Yep.
So that can also be an issue if you're voting by email. Although obviously we don't want all your emails searched.
Yeah.
I
And
have
also there's a situation where we'll be able, like for the bylaws, we can call a special meeting, and like a special meeting can be done over Zoom, over a call, stuff like
Mhm.
that. So we'll have other safeguards to like put in place that we can work around that.
And I'd be happy to do some legwork on sort of the new reality of Robert's rules in light of virtual meetings, right? Because I think that's part of it. And then also just in voting and things like that. So I'm happy to pull some, just some resources together if that will be of help.
And I think a couple of years ago, I helped a Arkansas organizer friend write a cheat sheet on Robert's rules. So I'll see if she has it.
Yeah, I actually have, my student government days are coming back to haunt me, but I have one of those if needed, and advising student club. So, but there's probably others on this group that may have those too. So maybe we kind of collect everybody's best thoughts. And so if you do have cheat sheets of Robert's rules, to maybe we can all compile them into a Google Doc or something like that, if that is amenable to folks, so that, we all bring our experience.
Beautiful. I was actually gonna add to that, I'm happy to volunteer and put some sort of deck together with like our bios and then like some sort of like things to keep in mind so that we have a quick access to all these things. And if we want to go back and say, oh, what did Christina said she did? Then I can go back and be like, oh yeah, she's like the master of the universe in community college or what. So if you guys want to if we want to work on something like that we can keep, and then until we get really, really familiarized with each other, I'm happy to volunteer to put that together. So just send it my way.
That would be great, because I'm spending the whole time reading people's name and trying to remember faces.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah. So if you want to send me like either your bio or resume or like LinkedIn link, whatever, I'll put together. I can put together a template, and then you can. Let's work backwards. I'll put together a Google form where I'll ask you for like a bio or like a resume or whatever, and then you guys can submit whatever of the following you want, and I'll figure a way to put it together in an easy to follow format, so we can all have it as a reference document for each other.
Maybe if you want to make life easier, I think all of our resumes are on the Common Council minutes from the month we were approved.
Perfect. So who from the lovely city of Norwalk can get back to, is that Maria?
But Maria also submitted the resumes a while ago.
Awesome.
She sent an email with all the resumes in there.
Fantastic. I'll go back and check them. Yes,
could we also include like a photo, the person's photo next to
Yes, so that we know who each one is.
Yeah, that would be nice too. So yeah.
So I'll put my email in here, and you guys, if I don't go and like Google haunt you, you can email me your preference of photography, and then I'll put it together. Just make sure to send it on my email. And yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you. Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you for volunteering to put that together. That's really
I begged the historical committee for a year to do that, because I could not understand who was doing what, and we never got it through. So I'm hoping this can happen this time around. I was suggesting that we have to put together an onboarding guide, so when we bring more women, we know what they need to learn, like just the Robert's rules, what they are. So maybe at some point we can, once we're all onboarded, then we can think about creating something like that for the new women that will join our commission in the future. But I can lead that at some point, because I'm really passionate about that.
I have to send you an updated, the resume that they have is like 10 or 15 years old. So
no, please. Yes. Well, you have my email. So please, by all means, send me whatever you feel comfortable with me sharing, and I'll put it together. I'll share with you all by email. And then, if you want me to correct something or change something, I can easily do that. So no worries.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Of course.
So talking about sharing documents, I just wanted to see if there is a chance at some point to explore a way to share documents in a way that is not necessarily a lot of replies of emails. I don't know if there are limitations regarding FOIA as well with how to share documents, but it would be great if we could have a depository where people can take a look at agendas, meeting minutes, and draft of documents instead of going back and forth in emails.
Okay, well, agendas and meeting minutes, you can always get them on the City of Norwalk website. Other documents, I agree. So
is the city on Google or is it Microsoft?
I'll email a link to everyone of where the minutes and agendas are stored after the meeting, if that makes life easier.
Yes.
That would be great.
And here, and I don't want to get us too far off the agenda, but I'm seeing and hearing something and wondering if we need a secretary, or, because nobody ever really wants to take minutes. Let's face it, let's be honest, right? Nobody wants to be that person. But what if we rotate alphabetically?
Minutes are taken by a city minute taker.
Yeah, so don't worry.
We
you
have
will have somebody.
contracted, yes. We
Oh,
do
I
have
love
someone who
that.
will be doing that.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, thanks. IT has put the link
Women's
up
life
for you in the
easier.
chat. Thank you.
you.
Making our lives easier.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful. I appreciate y'all. Okay, so getting back to the agenda. There's two things we've discussed. One is the review of ordinance, and we've also briefly discussed whether we want to form a bylaws committee in the meanwhile. If we want to do that, we would need a motion to add that to the agenda and a 2/3 vote to approve that. I don't know if we want to do that in this meeting or not.
And I'm sorry, could you say that again about the ordinance? I thought we still had to discuss that.
That the ordinance is on the agenda.
Okay,
We
sorry.
still have to discuss it. I was also bringing up that we have discussed a bylaws committee, and some people have volunteered for other stuff, which I don't think we need to change the agenda to vote to empower them to do. But if we want a bylaws committee, we would need to vote to add that to the agenda with a 2/3 vote. And I don't know if you want to review the ordinance first and then go on to decide if we want to do that, or if we want to do that while we're doing all this business of commission setting up.
So is it out of order to make a comment or? Okay, so what I would say is, I think it makes sense to set up a bylaws committee because we're not going to meet again for 2 months, and we're going to, and you know, that makes sense not to meet for the reasons we already discussed, but it would be a great use of that time to really make some progress on that. And so when we reconvene in February, we can review the draft bylaws and start discussing that and kind of keep moving that process forward. So I think it makes sense to do it. I'm happy to make that motion if that would be helpful. I move to set up to add it. So I guess we need to move to add it to the agenda.
Yep.
Okay. So
For a second, and that means that you're agreeing with Claudia.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Which is a chance for anyone who has opinions or disagrees with this motion to speak up, or who agrees. Okay, all in favor?
I agree with it because I thought 2 months without doing anything would be a bit of a waste of time. So that's, I am very much in agreement.
Yes.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. So that was more than the 2/3 vote we need to add discussion of creating a bylaws committee to the agenda. So creation of bylaws committee. It sounds like everyone wants it. Who would like to be on it? Claudia, I would also be willing to serve. Shannon? I saw Chantal, did you raise your hand?
I did.
Yeah. And I would suggest reaching out to Sharon because I know she may be interested on that. I know she's not here today, but maybe if we can add that to the agenda as a post note, just to ask if she would be interested.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got me, Claudia, Shannon, Chantal. Please tell me if I'm saying your name wrong, if I say anyone's name's wrong. Okay, and reach out to Sharon. So do we have a motion to appoint these people to the bylaws committee?
So moved.
I'll make a motion.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Second?
Go ahead. A second.
Sarah, I keep seeing you on mute. Did you have something to say, or were you just
No,
slow?
I'm playing, yeah.
Okay.
All good.
We can start keeping score for who gets the most motions. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. All right, moving on, last item on the, well, second to last item on the agenda, really. Review of ordinance. So Maria, did you want to share screen the ordinance or? You're on mute.
Sorry, yes, I can share screen. Let me just position. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Christina, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I figure instead of just opening my big mouth, I'll raise my hand properly. So I'm just because I felt like I was jumping in a lot. So I just a couple quick comments. I actually did take a peek at this in truth about a half hour before we started. So and I just a couple things struck me. One was the term, obviously the term issue. We were all appointed at the same time. So I'm not sure how we would do staggered appointments so that they're staggered departures, right? Because I do think keeping a group fresh and moving is important. It's also important for us to know when we should pass the torch. So I don't have an answer, but I just think that obviously that will need to be addressed because we don't have staggered starts.
I think we have staggered, sorry, no, I just jumped in. We have staggered end dates. It's kind of done for us, yeah, to make sure that everybody does not go off at the same time.
Perfect. I had not realized that. So thank you.
And often you can be reappointed if you want to continue to serve.
Okay. All right. And the only other two things I had was and maybe this is something the bylaws would have to address, but I wonder if our sort of charge here, because that's what I'm seeing this as, can refer to women and girls, because I'm just wondering if if that's an appropriate scope, or, widening of our scope of services, right? Because I just think that might be an important conversation. And I laugh because to myself, because one of the things I mentioned, I think it was, I forget to whom, the day that we were voted in on the Common Council, I think there was a new Parks and Rec person coming in. And at the same time, all I had in the back of my mind is the girls' fields in the town, the girls' fields, so the softball fields and the field hockey, and the conversation that was happening about fields and the use of, and I just struck me that would be something that we could be advocates for. I think, I don't know, that's a small thing, but it's an important thing. So I don't know if it's within our scope to add girls to this. And then the only other one was letter F, to serve as a mediator in matters concerning women. I have a feeling this was written during a much less litigious point in our society and our town and time. So would we really be a mediator, or would we be a source of referrals for matters concerning women? Those are just two thoughts I had on the ordinance. Some thoughts.
To your first thought, if you look at item A under duties, to review progress and assist in elimination of gender-based discrimination, that gives us a pretty broad scope. And in fact, as a queer person, I would like us to not leave behind other genders even marginalized than women.
Yep.
And I think we have the option to do that. I mean, not just as a queer person, as a person. Who incidentally has enough trans friends that she can't count how many. We have the option to widen our focus to gender-based discrimination if we so choose. And a lot of this is going to be up to us as to what we choose to do and take up.
Got it.
Sorry,
and I had
Sarah.
a related, no problem. I had a related question that I actually don't know the right language around it, but is there a better way to be more inclusive when we're seeing commissions on the status of women, like women identifying Or I feel like this is a more complicated discussion, but it's one I want to have.
I think that's a good discussion, and maybe we put it on the agenda for next time. That way we can have a more complete discussion.
Perfect.
And we may end up finding that we need to have even more discussion after that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
One thing to what we were speaking about before, because it's a public meeting and we have to publish our agenda in advance, we need to work with the chair to bring forward anything that we want to have discussed on the floor in advance, so it's published on the agenda.
Yep.
So yes, I think you're bringing up excellent points that all deserve to be dealt with and addressed, but we have to be cognizant of getting them on the agenda. So it's out in, out in print if anybody wants to come speak about it, hear about it, anything like that. And again, this is just everybody getting up to speed and how these things have to work for the city. So I think we can all we'll find important pieces of it that we really are passionate about and we want addressed. And that's what's great. We can bring them all forward and work through them properly when they're on the agenda. We can really dive in. Because otherwise you have to have a 2/3 vote to add it, which just isn't good procedure. We would like to have it established, always, so there's no question.
And it's not good for public trust.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And I would like to see ageism added, because there are a lot of older women in the workforce or wanting to get in the workforce, and age discrimination is real.
Yep.
For next time, maybe we make the agenda item a discussion of inclusivity and intersectionality.
Yes.
That way we can bring up all the different ways in which gender and other issues bang together and make things worse.
Yep.
Would that work?
Yep.
Perfect.
Shannon, to the question you raised, Shannon, what if any is the procedure to change the ordinance, right? Because there are no bylaws on record, so creating them sounds like straightforward. Whereas if we're looking at our ordinance, that has already, what's the process to change the ordinance?
To change the ordinance is a whole different direction.
Oh, okay.
We kind of we've been tasked with the ordinance that's in front of us, and we can kind of what I was saying, we can pick out what's important to us and what we want to address. And we can definitely put things in our bylaw, but to change an ordinance, we're gonna frankly waste our time. That has to go through the ordinance committee, through the full council. It's a whole different route that we want to focus on. What we want to do, or what I feel we should focus on, is working within this and working to help women and all people that we want to be inclusive of. And if there's something that we are really stuck on that just does not sit right, we can absolutely bring it to the ordinance committee. I would just not want us to start with that, because it's just going to be time spent on wording rather than action.
Understood.
And actually, if you scroll down in the one of the things we do, it's we make a biennial, I don't know how to say that word properly, report to the mayor and the common council in non-election years, including our specific findings and recommendations for legislation on ways to improve the status of Norwalk women. So we will have the chance to make recommendations about ordinances, although I agree with Shannon, we might want to focus on action rather than language. Not that I don't think language is important. Maria, did you have things you wanted to specifically cover when going over this? I kind of started answering and pointing in directions.
Nope, I was hoping that the chair would lead us through this conversation, but I do know that any changes do need to be submitted to Common Council and the mayor for approval. So, and wasn't sure if anybody had an opportunity to review this beforehand, but thank you, Anna, for leading us through this conversation.
Yeah, so we have a lot of options within the ordinance as to which directions we want to go in.
Okay.
And I think that's going to be future discussions that we're going to have as to which of these directions we're going to focus on and which perhaps might be a little bit much for us without staff, without more dedicated staffing. And we'll see what happens after Maria, which congratulations, Maria, that's wonderful for you.
Thank you. And obviously the mayor's office is aware and they are working on identifying another staff person.
Yeah. So it's also going to depend on staff time to support us for some of these things. For instance, as Christina identified, acting as mediator. So those are all, I think, things that we can look at in the meanwhile, and we can discuss when we're taking up how we're going to make this a good commission for next time. So if you have specific ideas that you want to put on the agenda for next time, email me. We might want to try and spread things out so we don't get too overwhelmed in February. But I think that's a good starting point. Does anyone have any questions about the ordinance? Because I actually did review it, and I bet Claudia did too, and I bet Shannon did.
I mean, my only question is really just going back to the terms, because the years that are on here are from the 80s. I mean, obviously that's sort of a pretty minor amendment, but would it require everything Shannon just described to change that?
Yes, if we were going, but terms are set from the beginning.
Yeah.
And we've been appointed to different terms by the council. Our term lengths are fine, and they're already staggered.
Okay, so I guess we just
for the initial terms when the status of women was first created.
I gotcha. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Congratulations, Maria, you will be missed.
Mhm.
You will.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. But I will still be working in some capacity together in the work that we all do.
Great.
Well, I am looking forward to working with all of you. This is going to be incredible. I can tell just from this first discussion. And the last thing is, do we have a motion to adjourn unless anyone has anything else?
So
I just wanted to say quickly that if you have any needs between now and February, for those that didn't sign up for the bylaws, please reach out to us. More than willing to help with anything else that is needed.
Agreed.
Agreed.
And on that, should we sort of, if not now, maybe by email, set a time for the bylaws committee to meet at some point so that we can just convene and start the conversation? Will you do that,
Yes.
Anna, or do you want? Okay, awesome.
I can set that up.
Okay.
I think we should maybe wait a couple of weeks to give Sharon a chance to.
Yes.
Agreed. Yeah,
Yes.
agreed.
So I'll email it probably after Thanksgiving.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
That's a
That
good
sounds
time.
perfect.
Okay. All right. Motion to adjourn?
so moved. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
good night.
you.
I am so happy to be amongst all you and looking forward to serve you guys. You guys are great.
Same.
Right.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening.
Wonderful.
Good
Take care.
night.
Did we
Thank
get a
you.
second
Have a
to
good
that
night.
I
motion?
second.
We need to-
Second that. I'll second that.
Favor.
All in
Thank
favor?
you for keeping us honest, Anna.
Aye.
Thank you.
Jasmine, can you stay on for a sec?
Sure.
I know, or that's okay. I just
Thank you,
say hi to
guys.
Nancy Von Euler if you're talking to her soon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Nancy's a good friend of mine. So I worked with her at NCC. So
Oh, okay.
a lot of different connections. So
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
We're all-
Thank you, everyone,
We're
and
all
the best
some of
of
the same
luck.
people.
Take
We're
care.
Night.
Bye-bye.
thank you,
Maria.
everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Good night, guys. Good luck, Maria.
Thank
When are you
you.
leaving?
Larry, are we still on?
Bye-bye.
Oh.